Hi everyone, I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining me today for this half-hour practice. We're going to be in a chair the whole time, don't need any props or anything like that. So just making yourself comfortable. You don't have to be on a small chair, you could be on your couch, or if you prefer to sit on the floor, that's okay too. Whatever way you're most comfortable. And just knowing that in everything we do today, you have a choice. It's your choice if you want to do any forms or if you want to leave any out. If you want to just sit here and breathe, that's perfectly okay as well. It's your practice. So really just listening to yourself and doing whatever feels best for you. I'll be doing the forms with you. I'll move through each thing that we do alongside you. That being said, I will come out of the form sometimes and just take a closer look at the screen, make sure everything's going okay. We had some internet issues at our class last week, so I want to make sure we don't lose connection again. But if you'd like to leave your camera off, go ahead. I don't need to see you. If you prefer to practice with your camera off, that's totally fine. And everyone's on mute, so if you want to play your own music, you can go ahead and do that as well. So making yourself comfortable. If you can have your feet on the floor, you can leave them there. If they don't touch the floor, depending on what kind of seat you're in, that's fine as well. You can rest your hands wherever they land, in your lap, maybe closer to your knees. You can have your eyes open or closed. An invitation to begin to notice your breath. You might notice if it's easier to breathe in and out through your nose or your mouth. You might notice if your breath feels easy and smooth, or maybe it feels a bit staggered or a bit more like an effort. Just whatever way you're breathing is totally fine. We're not trying to change anything. Just bringing our awareness to our breath. If you're sat with your feet touching the floor, you might begin to notice the connection of your feet on the floor. If you'd like to explore this connection, you could gently tap your heels. You might move your toes, just getting a sense of the ground beneath you. As you breathe, you might tune into the connection of your sit bones to your chair. You might notice the support of the back of the chair if you have a back on your chair. And if it feels okay in your body, option to begin to draw the crown of your head towards the ceiling, just creating some length through your spine. If you feel like you have some tension or a feeling of holding concentration in your forehead, it might feel good to raise your eyebrows up and down a few times. This might bring some softness to your facial muscles, might bring some movement to your scalp. There's also the option to separate your back teeth, maybe move your jaw side to side. You might notice some clicks or some sounds or sensations there. And then there's the option to bring your awareness back to your breath. You might consider beginning to deepen your inhale. If it feels okay, you could maybe lengthen your exhale. If you find your mind wandering or thoughts trying to take over, sometimes it can be helpful to count your inhale and your exhale. So you're giving your mind something to do. Lengthening the exhale, even if it's just by a second or two, activates the relaxation response in the body. So as you sit here and breathe, you might notice if that feels like it could be a resource for you, if this breathing practice might be helpful when you feel like you need to relax your body, regulate your nervous system. Feel free to sit here and continue to just breathe if that feels like it's the best thing for you today. Or if you'd like to bring some movement into your body, you could begin to rotate your shoulders. You might lift them up, back and down. Maybe go in just one direction or change in directions. You might do both shoulders at the same time, or maybe one at a time might feel better. And then letting yourself finish off with whatever way feels nicest. Usually one direction feels better than the other, so it's nice to finish off with what feels best. If your neck is feeling okay, you might like to bring your chin down towards your chest. It doesn't have to touch your chest, you're just heading in that direction. And then you could gently bring your chin back up parallel to the floor. And if this movement feels okay, you could continue with it for a couple more times. You might notice sensation in the back of your neck, maybe even all the way down through your shoulders. Just moving at a pace that feels comfortable for you, and knowing that you can opt out of this form or any form at any time. If something doesn't feel good, you don't have to do it. This movement feels good, you could stick with this. Or if you like, the next time your chin comes towards your chest, you might like to bring your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Taking a breath here. You might notice sensation on the side of your neck, maybe even into your arm. If it feels okay, option to bring your left arm just slightly away from your body. If that causes any discomfort down your arm or numbness or tingling or anything, though, you can bring your arm back in. Whenever you're ready, you can bring your arm back in. You might bring your chin gently back down towards your chest. And if you like, we could go to the other side. So maybe left ear towards left shoulder. Taking a couple of breaths here, seeing how it feels. It might feel different to the other side. Option here to take your right arm just slightly away from your body. Your own time, bringing your arm back in if it's out to the side, and bringing your chin back down towards your chest. Then we could slowly begin to bring the chin back up towards center. that can cause quite a bit of sensation in your neck and maybe even into your shoulders. So let your body do any movements that it feels like it needs to do. Now, if you choose to, you could bring your arms up to shoulder height. Now, depending on how your shoulders, your arms, everything is feeling, you can keep your arms just forearm to forearm, maybe even hold each elbow if that feels okay, or just stack the arms. Or if you're feeling like this isn't where you want to keep your arms, you could bring elbow roughly on top of elbow and placing one hand on each shoulder. So it's up to you. If this feels like enough, you can stay here. If this feels better, stack the arms, one hand to each shoulder. I'm going to turn to the side so it makes a bit more sense, maybe easier to see. So whichever version you choose, feel free to keep the arms still if that feels better. Or if you'd like to bring some movement into it, option to bring your elbows up towards the ceiling with your inhale. And then you could bring your elbows down towards your chest with your exhale. Inhaling elbows towards the ceiling or arms towards the ceiling, depending on which variation you're doing. And as you exhale, bringing the arms down towards the chest. Now, if your neck is feeling okay, option to bring your head into the movement as well. So on your inhale, you might bring the elbows towards the ceiling and your head might look up. As you exhale, elbows can come towards chest, chin might follow if it feels all right for your neck. You could do this a couple more times if you like, or feel free to come out of the form and rest at any time. Moving at your own pace with your own breath. Next time you come to elbows resting on the chest, option to bring the arms out wide. Just make some circles with the shoulders. Do any movements that you feel like your body needs. Now, if you choose to, you could bring the arms to shoulder height again. This time we can bend the elbows. And again, if this feels like enough for you, you can stay here. Sometimes just keeping the arms out to the sides is more than enough. Or if you'd like to bring some movement into it, option to take a breath in, bringing the arms up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, you could bend the elbows, bringing arms back to shoulder height. Inhaling, arms coming up. Exhaling, arms coming down to shoulder height. And that's the invitation for flow if you choose. Inhaling on the way up. Exhaling on the way down. Moving with your own breath at your own pace. Letting your comfort guide your movement. Knowing you can come out of this at any time and bring the arms down. Or you can keep going for my count of 3, 2, and 1. Letting your arms come back down. Again, taking any movements that you feel like you need. And depending what size chair you're on. If you're on a couch, you're going to have plenty more room than if you're just on a little chair. So if you've got the room, you could bring your right hand out to the side and let it rest on your couch. If you're on a small chair like this, you could just bring your right hand to hold the side of the chair. Your next breath in, option to bring your left hand up in the air and soften your shoulder. Now, if this might feel like more than enough, if it does, you can stay here. Or if you like, you could take a breath in, reaching your fingertips towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, you could begin to gently lean towards your right. So we're keeping both buttocks down on this seat. It's just a very small, gentle side bend. Just noticing what you notice here as you breathe. You might notice sensations in the side of your body. You might get a sense of space in between your ribs. Or it might be more of a sense of tension. Whatever way it is totally fine. If you don't notice anything, that's fine too. If this movement feels complete for you, on your next inhale, you could come back to center. We can switch sides, so bring in the left hand to either hold the side of the chair or rest on the couch. And as you inhale, bring in the right arm in the air. Stay in here if this is where it feels most comfortable for you. Or taking a breath in. And as you exhale, gently leaning to the side. This side might feel totally different. Again, just noticing what you notice. Knowing you can bring your arm down at any time. Or you might like to take one more breath in. And then gently bringing your arm back down at your own pace. Letting your body do any movements that it needs to do. Now if you're sat with your back up against the back of a chair, option to stay here and rest. Or you could move forward a tiny bit. You might need a little bit more space behind you for this next form if you choose to do it. You could bring the hands towards the knees. You can stay here if you like, or option to take a breath in. And as you exhale, you could begin to round your spine. And draw your chin towards your chest. When you inhale, you could begin to bring your chest up, and if your neck feels okay, you can look up. If this feels okay, this movement, you might like to do it a couple more times, exhaling as you round your spine, bring your chin towards your chest. Inhaling as you bring your chest up, maybe the head looks up as well. Moving at your own pace with your own breath. Next time you come to the rounded spine, you could gently bring yourself back to neutral. You might like to sit back in your chair again. Sorry about my squeaky chair. And then if you choose to, if you like to, we could bring the arms up to shoulder height again. Now, if you can remember what way you did it last time, we could do the opposite. If you don't remember, no worries, it doesn't really matter. But if you want to do the opposite, this time it would usually be the way that feels more awkward. So whatever your natural way is of bringing your arms together, usually be the opposite way second time around. And again, you can keep forearms together if that's what feels most comfortable. You might like to hold each elbow or just rest the arms on top of each other. Or if you prefer, you could bring elbow to elbow and hands on shoulders. Again, I'll just turn to the side so it's a bit easier to see. When you've found the variation you like, arms together, elbows together, whichever you prefer, option to just stay, keeping the arms at shoulder height. That might be more than enough. Or if you like, option to take a breath in, letting your elbows come towards the ceiling. If your neck feels okay, your head could move as well. And as you exhale, you could bring elbows down towards your chest. Maybe your chin follows. This movement is feeling okay. You might like to keep going with it, inhaling on the way up and exhaling on the way down. Just moving with your own breath at your own pace. Knowing you can come out of it at any time. I'm just going to make my way to the screen just to check in, see how everything's going, making sure we haven't lost connection or anything. Nice. And wherever you're at, next time you bring the arms down towards the chest, feel free to let them come down by your sides and take any movement that you feel like you need. Keep in mind you can rest at any time. Or if you'd like to go into a bit of a rotation, you could bring the left hand to the right knee. And again, this is going to depend what size chair you're on, where your other hand goes. If you've got a big couch that you're on, you could bring your right arm behind. Or if you've got a back on your chair, you might like to hold the back of the chair. Or you might prefer to just hold the side of the chair again. Wherever you're at, it's okay. And if this feels like enough of a rotation, just having the hand over to the knee, then stay here. This might be more than enough for you. Or if you like, you could take a breath in, drawing the crown of your head towards the ceiling. And then on your exhale, you could gently rotate to your right. You can rest your gaze wherever your neck feels best. So that might be over your shoulder, or it might be to the side, or maybe even bringing your gaze forward, wherever your neck feels happiest. On your next inhale, you could unwind back to center, noticing any sensations, taking any movements that you feel like you need. Then if that side felt okay, you might like to try the other side as well. So right hand to left knee, again, holding either back of the chair, side of the chair, or resting your hand slightly behind you if you have a bigger chair. Option to stay here, or option to take a breath in, drawing the crown of the head towards the ceiling. And then gently rotating around to your left with your exhale. Resting your gaze wherever your neck feels best. And this side might be different. Just doing whatever feels best for this side of your body. Gently unwinding back to center. Whenever you're ready, you might like to take a breath, let everything settle. Take any movements, can cause a lot of sensation in your spine, that twist. So take any movements you feel like you need to do. Then if you like, you could bring your feet just slightly wider apart. If it feels better having your legs closer together, that's okay as well. There's an invitation here to go into a fold. So sometimes having the legs a little bit more spaced apart can give you a bit more room to fold, but it's up to you, whatever feels best. You could bring the hands towards the knees. Invitation to take a breath in. And then as you exhale, you could begin to hinge forward from your hips. And you can just come to halfway up, keep your head in line with your heart, parallel to the floor. And see how this feels. If you've got any congestion, anything going on with your sinuses or a headache or anything, might not feel good to go any further and bring your head upside down. So if you want to stay here, stay here. And also keeping in mind that you can come out of this pose at any time. Everything's feeling really good. Option to let your hands come down towards the floor and let yourself fold forward. So your head comes down. You might be able to let the weight of your head go. If that feels okay, that can cause a lot of sensation in the back of your neck. So if it doesn't feel okay, letting the weight of your head go, feel free to come back up, hands to knees, halfway up. Doing whatever feels best for you. If you choose, you can stay here just for a couple of breaths. Now, if you're folded fully forward, you might like to draw your belly button in towards your spine before you move. Just give your low back a bit of support. And then on your inhale, you could begin to bring yourself back to halfway up. Hands could come back towards knees. Bringing your gaze parallel to the floor, just letting your blood pressure and everything normalize. On your next inhale, you could press into your hands, gently pushing yourself back up to seated. Taking any last movements that you feel like you need before we come to our resting practice. And for the resting practice, if you've got a bed or a couch or something beside you, feel free to lie down. If you're more comfortable that way, you can. Or you can stay seated. Just giving yourself a moment or two to make any adjustments, to change where you're seated or where you're lying, to do whatever you need to do so that you can be comfortable. You might begin to notice the connection of your body to the floor, to the chair, or to the couch, whatever you're sat on or lying on. You could have your eyes closed or open. You can let your breath be at its natural flow, or as an invitation to come back to that deeper inhale and longer exhale. Sometimes it's a bit challenging to make the exhale longer. But when we add sound, it can be a bit easier. I'm not 100% sure why. But for some reason, when we add sound like humming or chanting, or if we sing or something, we can make the exhale a lot longer. So if you like, we could try that today. Humming in particular can regulate the nervous system. Even if you're not doing the humming yourself, it works on the vagus nerve just through your ear. So even if you're just hearing it, it can be helpful. So this is totally optional. Everyone is on mute. No one's going to know if you're doing it or not. It's completely up to you. Option to just let your breaths be natural. Option to deepen your inhale and lengthen your exhale. Or if you'd like to explore adding in some sound to see if that helps lengthen your exhale, we could do that. So I'm going to take 3 deep breaths in, and on my exhale, I'm going to hum. Totally up to you if you want to join or not. So if you like, we could take a deep breath in. breath return to its natural flow. Allowing yourself to rest for the last few moments of our practice. You might like to bring some small movements back into your body, maybe moving your fingers and toes. Might feel good to move your wrists and your ankles. You might like to turn your head gently side to side. Or if it feels natural for you, you could bring your arms up overhead, and giving yourself a bit of a stretch, maybe straightening your legs, taking a stretch from your fingers through to your toes. Whenever that feels complete for you, you could let your arms come back down. Invitation to bring your hands to a gesture of completion. That might be hands on your belly, might be hands to heart center. Or you might like to bring your palms together at heart center. Whatever feels like it resonates with you. Option to bow your mind to your heart. And if you like, you could offer yourself a moment of gratitude for your effort in being here. And it is an effort. It's effort making the space in your home, logging in, figuring out the technology. It's really just giving yourself some gratitude for that if you can. Acknowledging that you've given yourself some time to look after yourself today. I am truly grateful to have spent this time with you. Thank you for sharing your time and your practice with me. Thank you.